this time, which is good. It's been very slow in the past, but whatever that was, hopefully seems to be done now. So, we are all set up and ready to go. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. Let's click resume and get back into it. So, last time we left off, oh boy, what is that? That is just these things getting constantly blown up again. This seems to have lost its only power pole, so let's see if we can make that area a bit more redundant, just in case. But it should be fine. It should be okay. Alright, so, with random nonsense happening there aside, go back to Novice, and last time we were here, we had finished off our red science production, and it looks like that is basically fully cleared up. So we have... It's technically not going at full speed still. So, what is wrong with that? So these seem to be going fully stably, right? Like this belt is complete. But for some reason this isn't going perfectly. I don't know why, but it's probably fine. It actually looks a lot better right now than it does, although there's still the occasional gap. If we want to get really perfect about it, then we can work on fixing that. But the important thing is that we have more red science than we could ever possibly need, and so we can move on to our next goal, which is, of course, the next type of science. Now, I believe the plan was military science next? Yes. So, let's get military science set up. Now, we are just going to find... Let's first figure out what it needs exactly. So, military science, piercing round magazines, grenades, walls. So, walls are just going to be a bunch of stone. So, that's easy enough. Now, piercing round magazines are just iron, steel, and copper. And grenades are iron and coal. So we need stone, iron, copper, and coal. So that's just 4 inputs to the output, which shouldn't be a major issue. Now this area here is starting to get a bit overly cramped. We have 2 types of science here. And if we try to add 2 more train stops in here, then it's gonna get even messier. So let's go and build sort of on the other side of these tracks. Not too far away, like we can still make use of this buffer chest that we have, but just a little bit in a slightly different location, just so that we can have it be separate. So first of all, we need technically 5 inputs, because we're going to want calcite. So we have copper, iron, calcite. We don't need oil for this, but we do need coal and stone. So basically, if we just copy-paste this and then change the oil to coal, then that would be everything that we need to do. So let's see here. Copy. And how much of this? We can just like paste this entire blob, can't we? This should be almost entirely correct, and we just don't need that last input off to the right for the second type of science. Alright, so this is going to be a big, giant process to build. Oh, we can't rotate, we can't flip you like that, but we can rotate you like this, which I don't know if that matters at all. I don't know which direction this would face that would make it easier. So, but let's just get it placed in, give it a little bit of space out that way, and plop it down. So now we need to connect power poles and drone ports. So all of that goes in and should get built up pretty quick from our buffer chest. And then hopefully that should reach the rest of the way up and do all of the rest of these drone ports getting built. And then hopefully all or most of this section should be in reach. So we are still missing cliff explosives. Let's just get cliff explosives in this buffer chest, because we do occasionally need them here, and when we don't have them, we have to import them from super far away. So we should hopefully be able to have the Spidertron help. Maybe not. Maybe the cliff explosive bot has already been assigned. Yeah. So there we go. So now this RoboPort is connected, which will then jump forwards to get this RoboPort assigned, and then that should reach out to get that one assigned, and so on. So we're just going to wait until hopefully the RoboPorts at least are all in. And this is the one where this is going to be stone and not oil. So that can all go out. And it'll require a little bit more work to fully fix, but something like this ought to mostly do it. And now we wait. So this RoboPort is charged, and it's got supplies out to that one, and we are 281 stack inserters and 9 steel chests short. I'm surprised that we don't have the steel chests. I assume those are probably just going to be getting made. And now we have these trains, which currently don't have a pass to their destination, and that's probably just because they've been assigned to get to this oil patch here, the one that we dismantled. So if we just change that and make you a stone destination instead, then those trains should stop being lost, because the place they thought they wanted to go, they actually don't want to go to. Okay, so this all gets built up, and we need to, unfortunately, add on this as yet another massive, complicated setup. Now, where exactly is this blueprint meant to go? I think it's meant to line up like this. So we put that in there, and then we're going to need to get the RoboPort across, which, how are you even placed? I guess you need to go like there, and then potentially another one over there. I guess we will see. It's not going to hurt to have one extra RoboPort, obviously. It will hurt to have to use all these hundreds of stack inserters, though. That's going to be a nuisance. And also, the drone ports out here have a lot of guys charging at them, which is very unsurprising, mildly annoying, but ultimately not a big deal. Obviously, that's extremely temporary. Yeah, and I think this RoboPort just barely doesn't reach that one over there. So this is unfortunately going to be needing all these multiple RoboPorts to be set up. And we are back up to now we need 300 and some stack inserters. So, which are the ones? One of you stops by. Is there like a Gleba fast thing or something? There's someone who brings these. Is it just regular old Gleba support, which brings Stack inserters. Okay, so legendary stack inserters are obviously no good. Regular stack inserters, we're bringing 200 at a time. Let's bring that up to 400 at a time. Which, currently none on the way because Gleba is struggling with launch capacity, it looks like. We only have 3 rockets, and they have a lot of things that they need to launch. So we do have these rockets over here for specifically carbon fiber. Now we should be able to... Okay, why do we have 13 of those? Let's tell you to stop producing, but then we will obviously make use of those to just add in a bunch more rocket launch silos, just so that we can... We're at the point where we are launching a lot of things off of Gleba, and having a bunch of silos to be able to do that quickly will be quite important, I think. We need to make sure that the power is connected up, which probably isn't an issue, but might be. So that goes, and then these ones are just connected to this unrelated line, which happens to be close. Okay, and we need a drone port or 2. So just that one there should be enough. Alright, so that all goes in. And these are all set to automatic request already. And we have enough of everything that goes into them. So hopefully they will be able to launch properly. Okay, now Novice is, I assume, probably the stone train, which is trying to get here and can't. Alright, let's get the Spidertron up to this area to build all of these train tracks, which didn't get assigned because they're not in drone port range. So we get all these guys in. And then we run over a bit to get even more done. And now we have most of this area, but the Spidertron is charging now. And probably used up all of its tracks. Yeah, so Spidertron used up all of its tracks. You get back to somewhere that has them. So now you can just stand there, and we have train tracks and signals and such on the way. And we're going to need a little bit more tracks in order to finish this off and connect it up to everything. But that can probably be a later step. Actually, we might as well do it now, right? While we're working with the train input stuff. So first of all, Spidertron runs over here and gets these last couple chunks constructed so that this is all finished. And then, so this is the input, this is the output. So we need to get you to flip around this way. And I guess, wait a minute. No, wait, I don't need to add another row up here. That's unnecessary. I can just connect this train track up to that one. And then, let's see, so this track goes in there, down, and yes, so that works. So all of that track is unnecessary, and this is the input, which we can put just in this area over here. And then this is the output track, which we can just bring up to here, so that they are all going in at the same approximate location. Okay, so we have this track here which splits, and we need it to split an additional time to go over to there. Then we need the other input to connect in to there. I guess this is going to be a little bit messy, but it's fine. So then this is the output, which goes out this way, if I can get it facing the right direction. And then also goes out up this way. And no, that's definitely doing it wrong. So that was just going in the wrong way to begin with. So you need to connect up to that from the right direction, which, ooh, hit the wrong button. We might need you to like go back there and then over that way. All right, I think everything connects up now. And we need a chain signal there and a rail signal there. And that should be everything, I think. So now we can just have the Spidertron run across, get all of these guys built in. And this yellow thing is the most scuffed version of just a T intersection, or just like a four-way intersection that we've ever had. But it should still function properly. So hopefully that's fine. So this copper train down here is lost. Is it lost because this area up here hasn't been completed yet? Or is it lost because there's something especially weird going on? Now there's 3 trains that are lost. I haven't, like, dismantled anything to do with this side of things, right? This is all still fully connected. So it's that train, this train up here, which is taking the stone input, and then this train over here, which is the other copper. Okay, so I'm assuming there's like a missing track over here somewhere. Okay, yeah, this loop never got finished. That's what happened. Okay. So Spidertron can just get that loop filled out, and now those trains should no longer be lost. And it looks like the stack inserters eventually all showed up, so that's nice as well. And now we need to add in, like, at least 1 extra train for everything that we're doing here. So let's get a copper train. 1, 2, 3, 4. And assigned to copper. And automatic. Then we get another train right there. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Oop, that last one didn't place because an autosave hit at that exact moment. So you can be a new iron train. And off you go. Then we need stone and coal, right? And that should be it. So you are a new stone train. Set to automatic mode. And then we get a new coal train. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there you are. Off you go. So that should be enough that we can have like trains waiting here without completely breaking anything else. Like, we need to have enough trains that the other places that need them can actually do something. So copper is here, iron is on the way. Oh, calcite. We need to add a new calcite train as well. That's very easy to forget. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, and you get assigned to calcite. And off you are. So now those can go, and they should make their way in to all of these various places, and that calcite should eventually show up. Okay, so the copper, somewhat unsurprisingly, is fully saturated. Actually, no, you're not fully saturated. You are stuck. Why can you not leave? Is this whole thing signaled wrong? So this whole blue area is one giant chunk. Let's get... Right, so we are going to need a couple of signals in there, and we're going to need a couple of signals up here somewhere, so that trains can actually like get in and out of all this area. Okay, it looks like we mostly have signals up that side. Okay, so now with all those signals in, this is mostly functional. Trains are able to get in and out without too much difficulty. But it is still like one giant four-way intersection that they all have to wait at. And I hope that the throughput is going to be enough in the long term. Like that coal train had to wait for quite a while. And there's a bunch of other trains stuck waiting behind it. Yeah, this is actually kind of a serious issue. Unless it all gets resolved quickly, which hopefully it will. Alright. It looks like whatever happened there has mostly been fixed. So the trains are getting out a lot faster. Now, I wonder if there is some way... I guess we could do, like, up and then down to be able to just, like, get trains going directly through here without any issues. Or we could just, like, disassemble this and reassemble it as an actual coherent T intersection. Which... or four-way intersection, rather. Yeah, let's just do that. So, we have this, and I don't know how much of a difference it'll actually make, but we need to start by just, like, cutting off everything's access to this. It'd be really ideal if the trains would just stop doing stuff for a bit while I dismantled this. Unfortunately, it's a very busy intersection, and there's a lot of trains going in and out. So maybe it'll calm down in a bit, because this isn't doing anything really. Like, these are just filling up boxes, which should eventually get fully capped out and then stop having trains move through them. And so hopefully this will happen, where this intersection gets a bit quieter over time, just naturally. But yeah, no, I don't really want to wait for that. So we are going to cut off that input. We're going to cut off that input and that input. I guess that's going to be the last train to make it through there. And then we will cut off that input and that input. Alright, so this intersection is now gone. So now let's just cut off the output sides of things and then just go about dismantling the entire intersection. So this, all this massive jumble can just go away. And now we can go grab this convenient four-way junction blueprint that I designed much earlier and just pop that in. And let's see here. Assuming that all these are connected up to the proper things, like facing the right directions and everything, you just go down and into there. And is that power pole there just in the way? Yeah, it is. So you go down into there. You come down into here. You need to start a little bit further back. Maybe even a little bit further back than that, and maybe this one needs to curve down earlier. Yeah, let's have this one have a bit longer time along there before curving up. So you can go like that, and now this can go like that. So that's one branch connected back up. Now, these should be able to connect up just fine. Like that, and like that. Now, these just go in like that, and in like that. And that should be everything assigned to be back to fully functional again. Let's just get rid of some of these extra segments just to make it look nice. So now this is a nice, neat, organized four-way intersection instead of the mess that we had earlier. Hopefully that will get things working more smoothly now. This signal doesn't need to be there. That can... I mean, it probably is needed. It just probably needs to be like a rail signal somewhere in this vicinity. Alright, so now that's all set up. And it does actually look like at some point in that process something got jammed. Oh, all the power down here is dead. What power line did I disconnect? Oh boy, I disconnected a power line somewhere. Where was it supposed to be? What was it supposed to... Ah, I see, it's this line here. Okay. So we get that line connecting up. And that should get everything back and functional again. So now all these guys are powered again. So it should be back to normal there. And we have everything but calcite. So the calcite hasn't made its way over to this train station area yet, which is a little bit concerning, but probably we'll get there eventually. So let's just get this stone train connected up in the meantime. Okay, there's iron, so that's back. That's all connected up. And now the calcite belt can come out. Okay. So we have copper, iron, calcite, stone, coal, and then just randomly in the middle, for no particular reason, we have what's going to be black science source, which we need to just reorganize so that it looks right. There we go. So that will be all set up. And now we just have to actually build a factory for all of this and see what happens. So this is all set up. Trains are going just fine. You'd think some of these things would be filled by now. Are these like not bringing full trains worth or something? Or am I just underestimating just how much these can store? I guess this is like 4, 5, 6, like 12,000 coal per blob that it currently has, and it can store probably up to like 20,000 or so. So I guess that does make some sense. So the coal output is going just fine. Like, this is not having any issues. The trains are getting 100% full. And it's just a matter of the gigantic boxes that we have to be filling up in order to get it fully set up properly. So yeah, that shouldn't be an issue. And the copper seems to... Well, because it just has so many trains on that particular line, the copper's doing okay. Iron is still very far behind at this point. Does coal stack beyond 50? No. Basically all these things stack to 50. We haven't even seen a single bit of calcite show up, although it should be on its way now. So the calcite should be on its way, so that should be fine. All the rest of this stuff is good to go. Alright, let's now start working on the actual production lines. So we get the Spidertron down in this sort of general area. We'll be building it like here-ish probably, just to avoid that river-looking thing. So we start, as usual, with a row of buildings that looks something like this. So let's just start with a couple so we can figure out what the speed is going to be. So those go in like that. And let's also get the drone network along to this. So that all goes in. You should be pretty quick to get set up. Alright, and now we just need to bring the power poles across. So, just like that, these have power, we're missing the modules. There are the modules, right on time. Alright, so we now set these to military science. And they are 11.5 each. I think that's exactly the same as red. Yes. So if that's exactly the same as red, then theoretically we can just copy-paste that, but we can't because the inputs and outputs are different. So for these ones, for the red science, they pulled from a single internal belt. For these ones, because they have 3 inputs, they're going to be stack inserting out to a single internal belt. And then they need 2 belts to carry the inputs. So like that and like this. And can I remove the forest in this entire vicinity? There we go. Now we can see what we're doing at the cost of having like an insane amount of just random wood lying in my logistics chest somewhere. Okay, so we have something like this, and then you need inserters for the near line, which will be the walls, and then long-handled inserters for the far lines, and I think we have 2 of those just for numbers' sakes, because this is going to be like almost 6 items per second, and these can't do that with just one of them. Alright, so we're going to have 120 military science going out. Then that will be, looks like it's 1 to 2 for the walls, so we'll have like 120 total walls, where 60 of them will be there, 60 of them will be there. So that's fine as long as they're stacked, which they should be. And then we're going to have like 60 total of the piercing ammo and grenades. So that should all be quite straightforward. Now let's get the power poles into this block. And now we just copy paste. And we need the same number of these as we had for the red science, which I believe we had 22. 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 12 right now, basically. So if we copy-paste all but the last 2, so we just copy-paste like that, pop that over there, and then bring drone coverage over. That should get us up to the 22 that we wanted. And the Spidertron can help out to make that process a little bit faster. And then let's also just bring drone coverage all the way out to, like, all the way over there, just because it'll be nice to have. So that all goes in, and the productivity module shortage continues to haunt us. It's like at the point where it might be worth considering doing some clever stuff to try to use more speed beacons and less productivity modules. But I think we had weird stuff going on with the speed module production too. No, that's back to normal now. So this can all go in. And what on earth is wrong with productivity modules? So are all of these going? They are, but we're actually belt speed limited somehow. Okay, so we need to upgrade like at least everything beyond this point to green belts. And hopefully that'll be enough. If it isn't, then we will need to start worrying about getting the biter eggs onto stack inserters, which I guess is a good problem to have. Like, to have too many biter eggs when that's the main limiting factor in our production right now. But it is going to be a wee bit time-consuming to fix, especially because a lot of these are on long-handled inserters. So, like, all of these guys are doing fine in terms of the biter spawners, right? And the Bioflux is actually a bit of a concern. So, Gleba support is on its way back with like 3,000 Bioflux, so it should be fine. And also hundreds upon hundreds of stack inserters, so that problem should be fixed. Okay, so the Bioflux should be okay. If it's lasted this long and Gleba support is almost back, then we should be all good there. Now, we have this, which seems to be buffering a bunch because of the loop backs. Okay, so what we can do then is take the excess, bring it down this way, and then merge it back in up there with, again, input priority left. And then we're also going to want to make sure that entire row is upgraded, just because. And that should improve the ability of this whole thing to run at full speed. Because basically by the time these get to here, a lot of the biter eggs will have been taken off already. And so we'll be able to make good progress from there. Alright, so those are all going to get built up. And now this is looking a lot better. Like, now it looks like everything is more or less getting run. Also looks like I randomly upgraded a bunch of fast inserters to bulk inserters, which isn't certainly not going to break anything, so that's just fine. Didn't do it intentionally, but it's a perfectly acceptable thing to do. And then it looks like we also need to make a bunch of these recyclers down here towards this end, which are currently not legendary. Let's get all of those and all of those. And we don't have enough to do all of them, but hopefully we'll have enough to do most of them, and that should accelerate biter egg cycling to hopefully a reasonably acceptable rate, because it is backlogging again, which is definitely bad. So we need all the speed we can get out of these guys. And so these currently are like 0.64 per second, but then once they get the legendary, they're up to 1.6 per second. So that should be good enough. Yeah, so that looks like it's going fine now. So everything is back under control. We need a bunch of legendary recyclers to come back from Fulgora, which I guess is just regular Fulgora support, right? Yeah, so you have another 20 some of those on your way back. So that should be fine. And now this should all be working. And ideally these will be running better now. So it looks like these are efficiency modules. Speaking of which, power supply is still fine. Power supply looks entirely manageable at the moment. So we can speed module these if the biter eggs are no longer a limiting factor, although I think they probably are. And also, if we go back here, is this all still buffering? Yes, this is all still not able to keep up. So, what that means is, first of all, stack inserters. That's the first easiest trip for, like, most of these can be stack inserters. And that will help out. But the other side are doing long-handled inserters, so we can't fix those. So we get these in, and we get these guys in. So the stack inserters, they should still be producing fast enough that the stack inserters don't cause spoilage ever. And if they do, then that's what all the like 10 billion laser turrets around here are for, so it should be fine. So the stack inserters there should, like, reasonably crunch down the number of items that we're dealing with. And that should be fine. And I'm still not seeing any stacks. This is like the first one, and it's at 15. Okay, yeah, so now we have the occasional stack of items there, which hopefully makes enough of a difference. We might need to get them fully stacked up, like add additional rows back here for these biters to output to, just in order to get all of that under control. So the other thing which we can do is we can just run more belts. So instead of this belt merging into that, instead, this belt can just come along this way, run all the way up. That underground belt is too far, so we will have you wrap around like this, and then wrap over this way. And, okay, instead of going up, like, all the way over there, we can just have you connect up this way, and in to this, probably. So you just go into there, and and feed back into that side of things, just like we've been doing. Hopefully the turbo splitter can show up soon enough that this doesn't cause a completely catastrophic backlog. This whole biter egg cycling situation is way more complicated than I would like. But as long as we just keep squeezing more belts into this, then hopefully it'll work out. And if not, we'll have to add like an additional row of recyclers or something, which would not be the end of the world. This one turbo splitter is like the most important thing in this entire system, and it's taking forever. There we go. That's in now. So now we have that. And we just need these two belts to go in, which should get this whole line running and into all these recyclers. There we go. So now that can go, and we have way more of those. Okay, so that is coming out now. The belt speed is a lot better than it was, but it's still very much not ideal, and also it looks like it may have gotten jammed at some point somehow. Yes, this is still not going fast enough. Like, even with all of that, we can squeeze it onto the other side. So if we just have you go like this, then we can at least use both sides of the belt up here more efficiently, which will be something. We're just trying to squeeze every little bit out of this recycling setup before we have to resort to adding another one. And so this should give us more biter eggs on both sides of this belt instead of having them all be limited on just this one, so that when they get up here, they can just fill in whatever space is needed. So now that is going. And that belt is fully saturated. All this stuff is fine. And I think we just need to add an additional row of recyclers in to deal with these. So if we just grab like this entire segment and just like pop you in up there, we're going to need a bunch of legendary recyclers, which should show up eventually. But then, once that happens, actually we might be almost back under control here. Like, you can see this belt isn't backlogging much. This side of things is all running full speed. Back here is all running full speed. Yeah, okay, so this might not be necessary. Like, we're very close. If we just squeeze in the tiniest little bit more, we might be able to get there without adding all of these. So if we just like expand this row out a little bit, that might be good enough. It's very difficult to tell whether this is just like a backlog that's being slowly worked through and will stop being a problem, or if this is actually just how this looks like. But it looks like it's a backlog that's being slowly worked through. So let's dismantle all of that, because I cannot say for certain that it's needed, and that is a lot of legendary recyclers and quality modules that we might not need to use. And yeah, this all looks like it is back under control. So all these belts have gaps on them in various locations, which means that this should be fully saturated, basically. Like, we should be using all of the output from all of these, including these ones all the way up here. And that roboport is apparently poorly placed, so we're missing like a corner up there. Which shouldn't matter, but could be an issue if we need to recapture some of these. Alright, so that all looks like it's going fine. And yeah, so now the biter eggs are all being handled properly. And that should hopefully give us enough speed to make our productivity modules quickly. And unfortunately, like, everything we're going to be doing for the foreseeable future is just spamming productivity modules, so there's not that much we can do. Although, I guess the military science is going to be a bit better on that front, because most of the things that go into it are technically end products that can't be productivity moduled. So we will have a bit of time on that front. Okay. So we are currently just a couple productivity modules short of this being done. So we have 240... Let's just go back to planning this. We have 240 black science, 120 walls, 60 each of ammo and grenades. So, next up, walls. These are just assembly machine recipes as usual with only stone. So if we just copy-paste this, I think these machines are insanely quick too, right? So let's get that in. Let's also do the deforestation planner and just like wipe out that entire area because we're going to be building here. So all of those trees go out. At some point, we're going to need to, like, destroy all of the... We're going to need to set up some method for actually getting rid of all the wood that's just, like, sitting in boxes right now. So we set that. You can't have productivity modules, so you are just going to be like this. And that is 61 walls out of one machine. And we need 120. So we could put speed modules in the machine itself. That's not necessary. Let's just pop down a second machine. That'll be easier. Because we need to work out how on earth to get 307, probably exactly 300 for 60. We need to work out how to get exactly 300 stone into these machines, and 600 total. So each of these are going to need 2 belts with like 150 each. So that is going to be tricky. So the stack inserters can take like 40, but if we do legendary stack inserters, then we can get a lot faster, right? So legendary stack inserters are 16 times 2,160 divided by 360. What is that? I think it was like 9. I know we've done this math before, but I have a math counter over here for this purpose. So 2,160 divided by 360 is 6. So we get 6 rotations per second times 16 per rotation. Now, where is... I should just get a new one of these. So we have 6 times 16 is 96. So a single stack inserter can handle 96 items. So if we need 300 of these, then we're going to need 4 stack inserters feeding inputs, which hopefully will be doable. We're going to want to redesign this a bit so we can get 2 on one line. We can fit 3 here. And if we move that out, we should hopefully be able to squeeze it in somewhere else. Alright, so now, theoretically, like, we go, that is a belt which feeds 2 of those. That is a belt of input which feeds 2 of those. Then this is a belt of input which feeds those 2. And then this is a belt of input which feeds those 2. So now we have 4 belts, which is enough. I think technically we could do it with 3, but this seems a lot easier. So now we just need to get the beacon back in, and it can just squeeze up a little bit. And that should be everything. Alright, so that is all we need for the wall production. Now we just need to connect it up to the near side input of each of these. And we're going to be having... Actually, I need to make sure that these are enough. These might also need to be legendary. Let's do that just to be sure. And we said we needed 120 walls, right? So them all being output onto the same side of the belt should be fine. Although, I guess, actually there's not really a reason for this to all be one belt, right? Because we're going to have to split it, like, instantly anyways. So this goes around to there. This one comes up and through this forest area, which I thought I got rid of everything, but clearly I did not. So all of that stuff goes away. Alright, so the walls are connected to their outputs. Next, we need to just do the stone bricks. So, we also need to, like, keep in mind that we need to get 2 inputs into each of these, which should be straightforward. Like, we just do something like that and then feed them in from over here. We just need to keep in mind that that's a thing that needs to happen. Alright, so the stone inputs. Stone is made in electric furnaces, which is gonna be inefficient, but whatever. So let's get in. How much stone did we need? 600? Yes, we need 600 stone. So let's get down an electric furnace and see how much that's gonna be. Ah, right. Electric furnaces are like the worst building in the entire game because it just doesn't tell you. Alright, we need to do a test run then, like, up here. So I guess we can just, like, run the stone down and see what happens. So here's our electric furnace. We've got productivity modules. We've got speed modules, as usual. Then we have an input, and we have an output. The output is going to be stacked. And the input will be stacked as well. Then we get power poles to connect all that up. Alright, so that is everything. We should set up, find our buffer chest, and tell it to request electric furnaces. Does this buffer chest even have enough space for everything? Who knows? Alright, so you request 50 legendary electric furnaces, which we apparently don't have. I guess we just never bothered to set up that particular crafting recipe. And it requires legendary stone bricks, which I think we have. So let's just get those crafted. We'll go with a legendary assembly machine just because it might need to be a little bit fast. So we get you to make legendary electric furnaces. Paste the settings. And yeah, we have all of these, although we don't have that much stone bricks or steel, but I think On the steel side of things, that's just because we have not got that much stockpile for it. Like, we have production and it's fine. Just don't have that much storage for it. I believe that's what happened. Actually, it's right over here. And yeah, so that is perfectly normal. Then the stone bricks show up. Alright, our legendary stone brick supply is bad. I believe that was in here. Okay, and that's also just a question of the electric furnaces doing this melting, so that should be fine. We should not have any issues with the legendary stone bricks for the electric furnaces. Just a matter of like how long it takes to craft all these guys up. And it should get sorted out eventually, and I think we're going to badly need the legendary furnaces, because I think this is going to be really slow. Okay, so now we just get our stone belt all the way down this way. I think it hasn't connected up properly, but whatever. Fix that later. So that goes in, then we get some connections. That belt gets a connection. This belt needs to be... Why are you like this? Just that random tree up there was somehow in the way. That's what happened. Alright, so now that's all been designated. We just have to wait for the belts to come across. And we can see how many of these we're going to need. We need 600 stone bricks, which is quite a bit. And so that feeds them up. So one of these does 8.9, but if... I believe this one wasn't made legendary yet, so if we boot you up with a legendary, then it should be somewhere up in the... like the 20-ish range, 22, somewhere up there. It's like 2.5 times, right? So yeah, somewhere like 20, 22, yeah, 22.3. All right, so if that's 22.3 and we need 600, then 600 divided by 22.3 is 600 divided by 10, which is 60, divided by 2, so we need like 30 of these. And technically a little less than 30, but somewhere around those lines. Alright, so let's then disconnect the stone, because we need to do actual building here. And all that goes out. We also need to move this down a little bit. So you go down there, because we need some space for these belts to go up into the walls, and that's going to be easiest by just like having them turn up this way. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we copy that. Actually, let's see, I guess we want them to be relatively compact, right? So this would be 8, and then we flip it vertically and fill the rest of them in. So this, if I'm correct, should be 16, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 2 is 16. Yes. So 16 of these. They are currently outputting onto 2 belts. We're going to want to rotate that to make it into 4 belts. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an output up there, and an output down there. So now we take these out, and we can connect the power lines across. So that's all set up. Now, is this actually going to be fast enough. So this is 20, 40, 60, 80. So we have 80 times 2 is 160, times 2 is 300. Wait, that's wrong, isn't it? That's half of what we need. I did the math wrong. Alright, it's 600 divided by 20. Oh no, because this is 16, and I needed 30. Right, I didn't do the math wrong, I just forgot to continue doing the math. Okay, so for now, let's remove these, because I think we're going to need this to work differently. So these batches of 4 are batches of 80, right? So I think what we want to do is instead have these branched down this way. So now these are both belts with 80 on either side, right? So we have 160 there, 160 there. So 2 of those should be enough to fill this up, which means that if we copy paste this and just plop it right next to the current one, we should have 4 belts of output, which then go up there and provide all the stone for the walls. So first off, this belt is going to go all the way back to that one. Then we have belt number 2, which goes up here and over to that one. Then this is belt number 3. This is belt number 4. We need drone port coverage down here. We've gotten a little bit out of drone range. So how far down can we go? We could go all the way down to there, and then just pop some power lines across so that that's all charged up. And then that should... Does that get all the rest of this? No, we also need one over here on this corner somewhere. And we can't figure out how exactly we need to place it until that one's in to show us. But in the meantime, we can get the rest of these belts up. So you go up to there. You go up to that one. So that should be the stone set. And now we just get our other drone port down there. We are a couple productivity modules short again, and that will continue to get worse as we place more of these electric furnaces, which are still a bit slow in showing up, presumably because they're just being made like at this exact instant as well. Alright, so that all goes in. And we have all of these, which are hopefully set up to work properly. And that should go into the wall construction, which goes into that. Let's take out some of these random belts, which didn't get dismantled properly at some point. Alright, so now the stone input, which... The stone input goes into those two, and I can't remember how much it's going to be. It's going to be plus 50% productivity, so it's like 1.5 to 2, or... Wait, no, it's 2 to 1 normally, so it's 2 to 1.5. So if we want 600 stone bricks, we're going to need somewhere around the realm of like 900 maybe raw stone, which is gonna be an absolute freaking nightmare. I do not want to deal with that anytime soon. Let's see here then. So these rows here, I need to get the stone in just so that I can see what the numbers look like. So you come along this way. You're gonna split. Half of you is gonna go into that one, and half of you is gonna come down into that one. And then we will see what the input numbers look like. Just how absolutely atrocious are they? They're definitely going to be bad, but the question is how bad, and how is there no other way of doing this? Like, the only other way of getting them is, like, from scrap recycling indirectly, which is horrifically inefficient anyways. So that would be even worse. Alright, so that's in. Laser weapon damage upgraded. Yeah, so this needs like 30 stone, a little bit less than 30 stone, to make a little bit more than 20 stone. So, this can run, obviously, like, it's doing its thing, but it is going to burn through an absolutely unfathomable amount of stone making all these walls. Now, it can just get booted up like this. That should be fine. Now we can do the math. So, we have each of these rows of 4 is needing to make 75, right? Because each belt needs to have 150 in order for it to line up. So each of these needs to be 75, which means that, let's see here. So this whole block here is 75 stone brick output, which, okay, I need to get a math combinator down here just so that I can look at the numbers, right? Like, just do calculations without having to scroll all the way over to the other place. And I should probably also get a display panel while I'm at it. So, 240 military science is 120 walls, which is 600 stone bricks. So that's what we have so far. Then the number of stone bricks that we need. So the amount of stone that we need to go into the stone bricks is 2. It's what is this ridiculous number? It's 2 to 1.5. So it's 4 to 3 basically. So if we need 600, we go 600 times 4 is... Oh, I can actually do this math in my head. 600 times 4 is 2,400. Then 2,400 divided by 3 is 800. So we need 800 stone. 800 stone in order to get this running at full speed. That is... Oh, I didn't mean to hit that button. That is probably impossible from, like, one train stop. We do have a random little chunk of stone up here, which has 1.2 million. Like, we could use that. It'll theoretically deplete eventually, which is not ideal, but I don't know. I mean, 1.2 million stone is still a lot of stone, you know? Like, how fast could it realistically deplete? The other stone patch we're using up here is 2.7 million anyways. That's not even that much bigger. Okay, actually, and this has actually been, like, noticeably depleting, though. So, who knows? There's another relatively big stone patch over there. So we can do some stuff with, like, local resources, but I do want to do train-based things. So, for our stone input, we are going to need to set up probably at least one more train station. And let's think, how fast could a train station realistically output? So with regular stack inserters, we've figured out this is somewhere in the vicinity of like 40 per second, right? So it's 40 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 240 per second per car, in theory. And then we have 4 cars, so that's like 960 per minute. So it's 960 per second, assuming that all 4 cars are draining continually round the clock, which seems like a big assumption. And then I guess the second half means it's actually double that. So if we have a train in the station unloading 50% of the time, then that would be enough stone throughput to keep us happy. But we're going to need more than that. So if we have... Let's now do the math on these belts. So if we need 800 stone total, that and that both need to be 400, which they're obviously not going to be doing because they can only do 240. But I do see if we just split these so that we have these belts pointed in this way. So now we can bring the rest of the stone just down under like that. So then we have 4 belts of 200 stone going in, like some from this way, some from that way. So now let's get these all organized up so that they can be brought over to the train station, and more deforestation. Just take out all that stuff. And now these belts just continue to sort of go around, and then we can just head down from that general vicinity over to this way, and that general vicinity over to this way. Alright, so we have all that set up. Now we need to reorganize all of this so that it lines up properly. So we have these 2 belts here, which are just going to be like going across like this, right? And then we have these 2 belts here, which, why is this taking so incredibly long to dismantle? Does Spidertron get closer and help? Yeah, I don't know why that is happening. All those should have been queued up ages ago. Oh, it's because of all the stupid stone on the belts that they're taking a longer time than usual to dismantle. Okay, so anyways, we have these 2 belts going like that. Then we have that belt and that belt going like that. So now we have just like an organized row of our 4 belts going in here to feed the stone. Okay, so now we just have to bring those all out to this. So instead of these merging up, they just need to be separate. So we take that out. We actually didn't need to dismantle those belts, possibly. I don't know, we might though. Alright, more deforestation. We need to be able to see what's going on in this area. Okay, so somewhere around here we have 4 belts going down, right? So we do that, and then these belts, can we just mess with these power poles a little bit without breaking anything, hopefully. So that belt goes down that way, this one goes down there, these 2 go down that way, and down this way. So now we have 4 belts of stone. And instead of like doing this whole zigzag thing, I think we just want to go down and over, like in one big massive step. So this comes down this way, and this comes over this way, and then they just corner, and that is that. So then this one comes down and over, and then we get number 3 from here and over, and then we get number 4 from here, which, I mean, technically it would have gone in correctly anyways, but I think just for the sake of it being organized, let's get that all built in and deconstruct all this area. I'm clicking the deconstruction planner. Could you please acknowledge that and start deconstructing the belt? Thank you. Alright, so this all goes out. Let's do more deforestation. I keep thinking that I've gotten all the deforestation done, and then there keeps being like a billion trees everywhere. Alright, so now just the last couple chunks of that belt can get taken out. And it's going to take the drones a long time to pick up all that because it's all got a bunch of stone on it, but it should work out. Alright, so that is all set up, except for this belt here, which doesn't finish properly. Alright, so there we go. So now that's all connected up. I do, however, also want some splitting between them. So if we just do something like that, it should ensure that things are kept relatively even, which I don't think matters hugely. So if you go in here, half of you go 4s into those 2, the other half go across into those 2 or those 2. So this isn't like a perfect split, but it's at least kind of split adjacent, right? So we see here that we're getting more down in this half than we are up there, but realistically, the ideal situation is all these are running at full speed anyways, and it doesn't matter. And if it does matter, then, you know, it'll be nice to have just a little bit of balancing in there. So that all gets built up, and the stone train is unloading all of its stone. Just a couple more of these belts need to get built in before this top row can be connected. And that should happen pretty quickly. So also in the meantime, all the productivity modules are set, and obviously this is all buffered fully. So now we are just purely waiting on these 2 belts, and then we need to set up enough stone output that this is actually going to keep up. But I think that can be sort of a last step. I mean, we still haven't seen even a single scrap of calcite coming here. I assume they're all going down to the other one. It's actually weird. I could have sworn we had some calcite show up. Also, can we just get rid of even more forest? This forest is everywhere, and it's really annoying me. Okay. So this is theoretically all fine. Still no calcite accounted for. I could have sworn there's a train coming this way at some point. So the place we get calcite is from Vulcanist supports 1 and 3, right? Neither of those are currently unloading. And then there's someone like Fulgora Vulcanus, and you were the main supplier, and you're coming back with another 10k, so You should be fine. I don't know how... The thing is, like, I don't know how much calcite this has to be. I think it has to be quite a lot. And Vulcanus should be more than capable of supplying all that, right? Yeah. So we have tons of boxes filled with calcite. We have this 8.1 million patch, which is never going to drain with all the productivity on it. So if we just get another one of these, but just making a more direct trip to not waste all the time. So, fast transport. This is my manual one that I want to be ordering around. I don't want to mess with that. So let's just copy paste this one, which I know is working because it's currently running. So let's just copy paste this. Copy that. New space platform, and you will be Vulcanus fast. So we can add that in, and that should be, like, its primary task will just be transporting mostly just calcite from Vulcanus to Novice, which should help us out with all of this stuff. And that should get that all under control. I don't know, we're still going to need a whole bunch more, but hopefully this gets done. So that, just have to hold shift and place. And so that will build, like, a good chunk of it, and then we're going to have to go in and place again to get the last half in. But construction can start. Construction can start on that, and hopefully by the time we need it, it'll be done, and we'll have a bunch of calcite coming in. So, with that sorted out, now let's go back over here, and so the stone is actually... I mean, right now we're stone limited, right? Because it's not going anywhere, so it makes sense that you'd just be stuck back there. And that shouldn't break anything, like, in the long term. But we will have to add a bunch of trains onto that loop in order to get it to work properly. Which hopefully doesn't break anything. So, now we can move on to the next step, which will be piercing round ammo. So, how much of that did I say we needed? Did I write it down? I didn't, but it's half of the amount of walls, so we need 60 piercing round ammo, which is not that much, and 60 grenades. I can write that down because they're the same. Alright, so piercing round ammo is next up on our list. So that is, I believe, also just assembly machines and no fancy stuff there. So let's get an assembly machine blueprint, just copy pasted, and you are just going to be set to do piercing round magazine, and you can't get productivity modules because that would just be way too convenient. So now that gets built in, and we will get to see how fast it is. We'll get to see how fast these guys can produce piercing round magazines off of one legendary assembly machine with a whole lot of speed. Hopefully it just single-handedly does 60, and then we don't have to worry about multiples. Probably have to do a couple, though. Alright, so you're powered up at 1 per second. With one speed beacon in, you're at 5 per second, almost 6. And then another one shows up, and you're up to 10 per second. Alright, so we need 6 of these then. And your inputs are also pretty high, but nothing unmanageable. So, let's see here. You have... That is going to be 60 per second output of the piercing round magazine. Then you're going to need a similar speed input for the copper. And so you're going to need 60 copper and ammo and 30 steel. Let's get that written down. 60 copper plates, 60 ammo, 30 steel. And then we'll also have to upgrade that with whatever is going into the grenades, which is just coal and iron, so that shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so if we need 60 each of the first couple of things, those can just go in both sides of this input belt, right? So let's take... Actually, I don't know how we want these belts to be aligned, actually. I've been doing it like they go in on the left side here, so I think that's what we'll do. So you go like that. And if this is going to be like a couple of two different things, we want them to be just bulk inserters instead of stack inserters so that they don't get stuck. And then we have a long-handled inserter for the steel, which actually might need to be either legendary or somehow fit a second one in. And I think just... So if we try to put a second one in, then this bulk inserter won't be enough to keep up with the copper and ammo. So I think we just make... Like, we're going to have to make something a legendary. Might as well just have to be that. So that should be all we need. And now we just copy-paste this. Copy-paste you out 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We just barely fit underneath that stone input. Okay, so now the piercing round ammo just goes up and feeds into half of each of those belts. So we can just take you up, and up you go, past all of that. Now you split, and half of you goes into that, half of you comes across here, and goes into that. Alright, so that should be piercing round ammo in. And now we just have to start working backwards through all of its dependencies, which should be easy. So we just need regular ammo. And we need 60 of those, right? Yes, we need 60 regular ammo, which hopefully will not be extra complicated in any way. So if we just grab one of you, and we just place you down there. So is this going to be the same speed? I pressed in the wrong menu for that. Is this going to be the same speed? This might... I think it's going to be considerably faster. Actually, this is 3.1. It might be the same speed, actually. I don't know. We will see what happens when the modules show up, which is taking increasingly long. We might need to move our buffer chest over so that it's actually close enough to do stuff. Like, it's helped a lot, and is still helping a lot, but it's getting to the point where it is kind of far away. So what I think we do is we just copy-paste you. We bring you just all the way, just right into there. And that's the wrong settings. That's the settings from the electric furnaces that I was doing earlier. No, so we copy you. And now we paste that in. And like half of this stuff is going to be really hard to get. But it should show up eventually. And then we'll see what happens there. So you are doing 30 per second now. Which means we only need 2 of these, I believe. So we just copy-paste you across, and your input side is going to be different because you need 123 iron plates for this. And it really, really sucks that this can't be productivity moduled, by the way. So you can still handle 30 per second just fine. Alright, what is that? Just an attack on Gleba, as usual. So we had... the copper and the ammo were both going to be going in to opposite sides of the near belt. So let's just do that. And that is all in. So for the 120 some input, if we just do 3 of these, that should be enough. And if it isn't, then we can upgrade them. Just upgrading one of them to legendary should do the trick. And then we should be set up past that point. So this is going to be 240 iron plates, which works out quite well. So that is going to be 1 full belt of those. 240 iron plates. And that should be enough. So the next thing that these need is copper, steel, and iron, all of which are just going to be cast. So that's done down to the casting level. Then the grenades are the other bit we're missing. And we need another 60 of those, right? Yes, we need 60 grenades. So let's just copy-paste this. Just, I don't know how exactly this is going to work. That's definitely too close. So let's paste you down there with a bit of space. And grenades. So those get set across. And we are still waiting on items to get into our new buffer chest to like fully work properly. So there's going to be a bit of a delay while the cliff explosives need to show up. I guess the Spidertron can help with all this stuff though. Alright, so grenades. I just have to check, right? No productivity modules for you. And this is going to be a lot. So if we want 60 grenades, and there's really just no alternative for this. Yeah, there's no alternate recipe. It just is the way that it is. And that really stinks for me. Okay, so we need 10 coal and 5 iron per 1 grenade. We cannot get any productivity boosts on any of those, so that's actually just in the numbers that it is. So if we need 60 grenades, then we need 600 coal and 300 iron. So that's 600 coal, 300 iron plates. And then we'll have to just do some math to add up our different iron plate demands later, but that should be fine. Okay, so that is going to be an issue. Now, the individual machines we can just have with stack inserters feeding them from 2 sides and then long-handled inserters outputting. Although, if we do that, then we would need to have some sort of system to stack them up, I think. So we need 60 grenades, and are they going on to half of a belt? How's that working? Yes, so we have 60 grenades going on to half of a belt, so they're going to need to be stacked after their output. So that's an issue. So first, let's see just like how fast can we get this stack, assuming it just goes at full speed ahead with all the speed modules we can get. We're missing one speed module in this machine before we'll be able to know what that number is. And then we need to do the planning around how fast that is. It's going to be more than 5.3. Okay, now they just decided to go over here and fill that one in. So it's 5.79 each. And we need 60. So we need 10 of these. So we need 11 of these, basically. So let's round that up to 12 so that it's a nice divisible number. And so that would be 6. So 60 divided by 12 would be 5. So we're just pretending that these do 5 each, which they certainly can. So if these are doing 5 each, they need 50 coal and 25 iron, which means on a belt of 240, we can fit 4 of them. So if we copy paste this, go out like that, and then move you to be less weird, and let's actually get these set up properly. So we have that in, and these are going to be taking 50 coal per second, so they need like 2 stack inserters, but they shouldn't need the 3rd for that input row. And then the other input row up here goes across like that and has 1 stack inserter feeding them each for the coal. And then let's just get power poles in all those places. So then we can have our output row here, which can get 2 long-handled inserters, which we have plenty of space to do. So this is 20 grenades. So that fits onto half of this belt in unstacked mode. So that all works. So we need 3 rows like this. So we have 3 rows like this. We copy, and we paste, and we paste. And let's do some more mass deforestation. And there we go. So now all these exist. We seem to have gone outside of the extent of our drone port, so let's get one of those down to here. And there we go. Now this is all within drone range. And all those speed modules are going to get placed in. Okay, so this is all set up. Now we need to take our grenades. So these outputs go out there, there, and there. And then we just need to stack them. There's not going to be that many. So we have 60 in total. They can actually fit onto one singular belt if we just merge them all up. So let's just do that. So these all get merged up. That needs to go even one more space forwards for this to fit. So these all get merged up onto one belt, and this isn't going to work actually, because I mean we're going to need to squeeze them in correctly on different halves. So if we set it up like this, then we have 20 on this side of the belt, 20 on that side of the belt, and then we would need this to feed evenly into both. Okay, yeah, no, let's just stack them up beforehand. It'll be fine. So now let's just get rid of all that. And instead, we're going to put in our stackers, which this time we should only need like 2 boxes. We maybe only even need like 1 box each, actually, because each of these rows is going to be 20, right? And the stack inserters can handle 16 per stack multiple times per second. So if we just do this, then that should organize them up into the correct size. So we get another one of you up there and another one of you up there. So now we have 3 of these, which are now all fully stacked. So we send all of them up. We just slam them all together, which will work because of the amount of speed available to us. And then we just have to shove these into the other half of these belts, which actually, you know, we don't need to do up here. We can actually just do that on this side, like all the way down here. So you just go in like that. Just to make sure nothing weird happens, you go in like that. So now we have the grenades and the piercing rounds on both sides of this belt, which now just feeds in naturally to those inputs. And that will be that. Okay. So grenades are now all set up. So now we need to deal with the grenades inputs, which is going to be very far from an easy process. So each of these rows is 20 grenades, which means 200 coal and 100 iron, right? I believe that's how that works, and then that adds up to 600 coal, 300 iron across the 3, which checks out. So, if we want to get all that coal into all of these, so the coal is direct from the trains, the iron is going to be from foundries, obviously. So, let's just figure out like how exactly to organize the coal inputs. So we can have this top row here be the... Wait, no. We already designated this. The bottom row is the coal because it's faster. Right? That's why we have 2 stack inserters here and only 1 up here, which gives us space. Yeah, so this is actually specifically, this needs to be the coal belt. So we'll rotate that around to have it face this way, because it's coming directly from the trains instead of from some other machine. So those all go in like that. And then they come backwards out of all of this. And now we just need them to organize up. So you go across like that. You go down and across like that. Then those all combine like that, and then we get our coal through this system, which let's just like do some weird janky something like this. We'll get that evenly distributed probably, hopefully. And now we just attach that up to the coal inputs, just like we did with the stone, and we should be good to go from there. So we go up here to the coal, we take this whole giant belt out. Do not need this to go all the way over that way. It's coming just directly down instead. So that gets cut all the way back as far as it'll go. Okay, so now we have this sort of approximate location for everything. So we do need to remove those splitters. And we actually have 4 belts of coal, right? So we have 4 belts of coal, which is going to make this whole thing a little bit weird in terms of getting it all to line up, because we have 3 belts that we actually need. But I guess that's what a whole bunch of splitters are for, right? So don't need to worry about that. This belt actually back here is not needed. So it's going to be something along those lines, and I don't know why. It seems like it's been taking way longer for all this deconstruction stuff lately. I don't know what that's about. Okay, let's actually have you go down that way, just because that way all 4 of them are directly adjacent to each other. So now we just go south and then west, and let's get you to go sort of all the way back there. And we're going to need to run drone ports over to get this to all work out properly, because we have a bit of a blind spot over in that area there, which should now be fully dealt with. Novice is being attacked up on the north side, which I do not care about at all. That is way too far away for me to be worried about it. So now all these guys are worried about trying to get rid of all the extra stone, which is fine. We have the world's tiniest dead zone up there, which we'll just have to try to avoid. And this needs to keep on going over that way. Alright, so now if we go up here and we take this belt here and we just bring it down. So that just goes all the way down there and then over. Feels like we are belting this coal like about as far as we're bringing it in by train, but that's fine. It's a little bit weird, but it's fine. And if we ever need to supplement our coal supplies later, then this will be a much more convenient way of doing it then. So you go all the way over there, you come all the way across, and then all the way back up. And there we are. Alright, so now the 4th input just needs to like merge into the others somehow, which actually we're kind of just going to need like a 4-to-3 splitter of some sort. So I know I've tried to organize this before and it has not been tremendously successful. So we have 4 going in there, then we need 3 belts of output, and so we need each of these 4 input belts to connect into each of these 3 output belts. So we can go, like, you can go directly up to there and then up to there, so you can get into 2 of them easily. The trick is getting you into the 3rd evenly, and yeah, there's just no good way of doing that. Let's just try to brute force it by just spamming a bunch of these guys down, something like that. Hopefully that will work. And I suppose if we're not trying to do like an even balance, then it would be a lot easier. Because in that case, we could just have them like be prioritized. But who knows? I think we're going to run into problems where this last thing isn't going to get fully used because it's like lower priority than everything else, and then it's all going to break. Because we need all of these to be like constantly outputting, but if the trains get stuck waiting for this last box to unload, then that could be a serious issue. Okay, but until that happens, right now we have all of this stuff just going across. And it should hit the machines, and the first little bit will get swallowed up, and then it'll just sit there idly waiting. There we go. So that is now just waiting for the iron. Okay, so what do we need left? We need 300 iron plates for that. 240 iron plates for that. Some amount of steel and copper. Did I write that down? 30 steel, 60 copper, 30 steel. Yes. So let's do the easy bits first. So the 60 copper and 30 steel will be a whole lot simpler than the 10 billion iron. Although maybe we do it the other way around, actually, because the iron is going to need a lot of space and a lot of resources, and it might be easier if we just have that go in first however it needs to. Yeah, I've talked myself into that. So we need 240 iron plus 300. So we need 540 iron plates total, 240 of which goes directly into here, 300 of which goes directly into here. So let's start by just popping over here and checking how much does one of these make. One of these guys with 4 beacons, which is a bit more than I normally do, but it's totally accessible, gives us 200. So we need 3 legendary foundries with 4 beacons each. That should get us to 600, which is more than the 540 that we need. Okay, so let's just copy paste you to some extent, something like that. We're gonna have to reorganize it a little bit, but it should be fine. So you go in like this somehow, and let's actually have you pointing upwards because that's where your output needs to go, and your input can be produced by the molten copper stuff down there. And we said we needed 3 of these, right? So we have that one, which we're just gonna clean this up a little bit. So you currently only have 2 beacons, and we decided that you needed to have 4, although maybe the 2 beacons would have worked out, like, barely. But let's just do it this way. And whatever that underground pipe is does not need to be there specifically. So we can just ignore that. Put all of our beacons in. It's kind of incredible how much of an enormous boost that is. Like going from 6 per second to 200 per second. Alright, so we have 3 of these, right? 1, 2, 3. And then these belts all just go out. So now we have 3 belts of 200 each, right? So we need to get 300, which is 1 full belt plus half of another. And that will go into this, which obviously we can't do directly, so we're going to have to do some splitting for them. Alright, let's think. So we just take like these top 2, right? And then we need to feed them into this belt, that belt, 100 each. So if we split you into 2, and then you go out a little bit and we split you into 2, then this one goes up to there. That's 100. This one goes up to there. That's 100. This one goes up to there. That's 100. And then we have 200 from here plus 100 from there, which can then just merge up however. And I don't think priority matters for that. So they just merge up however, so that this is now a belt of 240. It's a full belt. And it just comes up this way. And okay, we need to rearrange that belt ever so slightly so that this can fit underground and just go into there. Okay, and all of these are like feeding evenly into both sides of their output, so they should be fine. Actually, wait a minute, is that true? These are 96 each, right? So this isn't actually outputting a full 200, it's outputting slightly less than that, which means that we need to somehow account for that. So, the easiest way is you go output priority right, so that one's definitely covered. And then you take a splitter from here, which is output priority right, so that one's definitely covered. And then we get you to output priority right, so you are being fed in only the spare. Okay, so that splitter actually needs to be back there, I think. And output priority right. So now all of these two belts go up and definitely covers that. And then whatever is the spare afterwards from all of that goes up there. Alright, I think that works. I think that's everything we need for that. So that is the iron done. And then we just need to worry about the molten. So now we need to do the steel, then the copper, and then just the molten item production. So, need what, 30 steel, 60 copper, right? Yes. So, we then get a guy over here. You cast steel, and you get full productivity modules. And we need 30 of this, so I don't know how much that's going to be, if just 2 beacons will be enough, or if we need a bit more. Okay, you are showing 60 some, even before the productivity modules go in. So you are definitely providing enough steel. So that's not an issue. We do actually need to be a bit precise on the placement of these beacons if we want things to work out properly. It's not a big deal though, so that just goes out like that. And then you can just use a couple regular stack inserters to get 60 steel out, and then that goes up to here, where it will be going on this input. So let's get that set up so we don't have to look into the whole maze of all those belts to find its exact location. Then you come up there and go in. Alright, so we just connect the pipe across. That is steel done. Next up is the copper. So we need 60 copper, right? Just 60 copper, and that is everything, I think. So we just get another row down here. Let's actually just designate some space in here for the eventual iron smelting. Let's destroy some more trees in the area. So the iron smelting, I don't know how much, but its space is going to look something like that, right? So then we go down below that. And actually, okay, this is actually clever. If that is the copper smelting, then we can share the calcite belt, and just save a little bit of work that way. So then that outputs into a pipe, which just runs across like that, and then the copper casting, which we need 60. We just need 60 copper, nothing crazy. Let's get the Roboport down as far as it'll go, probably, just so that we hopefully don't have to do that again for a while, and then bring the power poles down to it. Okay, so you are obviously going to need your speed beacons, which just all go in like that. And now we wait for them to get placed and powered up. So this is well more than the 60 copper we need. So yeah, that is plenty. So we only need 60, so we don't even need to worry about all that. We can just have you go out and stack inserter, just have a couple of those. Again, this won't have enough room to output its full capacity, but it does not need to output its full capacity, so it's fine. So then the copper comes up here, around there, and then down into the other side of that belt. Okay. So, we have all of that in. Now, we just need to do the molten metal, right? I think that's the only thing left. So this is iron, which iron melting. And how much do we need? We need, I guess let's get the machines bringing the productivity modules first. So, we needed 540 iron plates, right? Now, our recipe here is, what is this? Casting iron is 20 to 2. It's 20 to 2, but we have 250% productivity, so it's actually 20 to 5. So it's 20 to 5, we need 540. Means that, let's do the math. 20 to 5 simplifies to 4 to 1. So 4 to 1, we need 540, means we need 540 times 4, which outputs to some signal. So 2.1k. So we need 2.1k molten iron, which this singular machine can handle easily. And then the inputs are just whatever the inputs need to be. We just need to give you 144 iron, which goes in like that. And then a bit of calcite, which goes in like that. And then we're gonna need, actually sharing the calcite belt is not gonna be super easy because it's the closest belt. Oh wait, no, I'm dumb. We need a separate belt down there, which means all of this needs to be one further down, which is not a big deal. So you just go in like that. Then this is our copper belt. So we get copper ore melting. And you are going to get probably the same inserter setup like that. So that all goes in. And then the productivity modules show up. And how much copper do we need? Hardly any, right? So this should be extreme overkill on the copper ore supply. Yes, because this is extreme overkill, and this is extreme overkill for that, so it's just going to be very fully saturated, like, instantly. Alright, now let's just get those last couple power poles in. Alright, so now we need to bring iron, copper, and calcite all down to here. And did the calcite ever actually show up? It did. Fantastic. Okay, so iron, copper, calcite just go straight down. They're going to pass over the stone and the coal. So, The copper can definitely afford to be merged up like that. The iron and the calcite can as well. As can the iron. Alright. So we should be fine to just bring all of these belts down as they currently exist. So these are all pointed in the right direction now. And, okay, is this gonna fit, or are we gonna need to have these jog to the side a bit? I think we're gonna have them move to the side just to be far enough away from the existing area. Because otherwise they would like clash with all these belt lines, which could cause problems. So those train tracks don't need to exist. So now we just bring these all the way down to there-ish, and then we'll figure out exact location in a second. Okay, so that is the approximate correct location. Now let's also bring drone coverage down into there. So that all goes. Now, we have these, which we need to be copper bottom, calcite middle, iron top. Which we're just like completely wrong in every way on that front. So, copper goes all the way down to here. That can just go along like this. Then the iron has to go into that belt. So you get sent back. The copper belt will go underground for a little bit, and then the iron can go into there. And then the calcite just threads that needle, comes over here, and in. That should be everything. So we should start to see the military science show up. And we currently have some science running, but not the correct amount, obviously. So those giant belts all have to get built in, and it's been quite the challenge to get them all set up. Does this even have belts in it? It has like a couple. Alright, so we just have to wait for all this to get constructed, which shouldn't be too long, and then we can cut these belts short a little bit, just so that it doesn't look wrong, like there's extra stuff that we need to be doing that we don't. And then that should all be functional. It's entirely possible that I've missed something, but we will see if that's the case once these belts all get through. And they still got a long ways to go. Not especially close to having all of these built up. Like, the copper hasn't even made it past here yet. And all these roboports being slow at charging are definitely contributing to that. So, all of those just flow through. Our current available robots is more than enough. We have like 15,000 construction bots for some reason, and like 5,000 logistics bots, which, to be fair, are being heavily used, but hopefully will be less heavily used in the future. Okay, so now all we need to do is take this output here. So this is the final output for everything, and it just has to go up into this box up there. So you go up this way, and then wrap around somehow. Oh, it's going to be easier to just connect you into the existing belt than completely rebuild it. Now, why did all that get built, like, instantaneously, huh? Alright, so the copper is now all the way through, from being in last place to being the first ones to make it to the machines. That's funny. The iron and the calcite are just missing a couple belts each. I think the iron is missing literally 2, and there it goes. Alright, so once the calcite gets through, that will be everything, and that just needs these 2 belts over there. And then this whole system should start working from that point on. which is taking it annoyingly long. So, obviously we're going to see probably stone shortages and coal shortages very quickly upon turning this on. But it should be at least a start, at least make it so that, like, relative to our current science production of other things, military science will never be the issue again. And then we'll have to worry about setting up all the coal and stone inputs later. How long does it take these two specific individual belts to get delivered? It's been so very long. Okay, let's just have the Spidertron do it, so we don't have to wait for an hour and a half. All right, so now this is all going. The iron is coming out, and that should set up the grenades to work. The copper is going out. That should set up all this stuff to work. And the grenades are being kept busy, although they're slightly output full, which I'm not sure why, because this should be fast enough. If we need to increase this a little bit, it's not that hard. Oh, I just realized a potential catastrophe. That belt needs to go underground briefly, because otherwise these grenades could squeeze onto this belt, which, yeah, they actually did to some extent. So we are going to need to clear that out and build it back to get those grenade contaminations off. Oh, and we're going to need to do the same dang thing down here as well. Okay, so now that should be fine again. And we just have like a couple more grenades that got somewhere they weren't supposed to. And then this one doesn't run into any random belts, so you are fine. And this is the only setup that would have impacted, so you're all good. And these now go up here. And we have military science output. It's not quite full. We are missing piercing round magazines. So you are short on regular magazines, which are not getting enough iron, which is just an iron throughput problem, I think. Like, all of these belts are maxed out, so if there's any issues there, then we just need to, like, add capacity on this. So you're output full at times. How is it that you are output full, but this belt is doing this? That shouldn't be the case. Okay, maybe we... how do we do this? How do we manage all of this? We're gonna have to, like, reorganize this. Maybe it's because these are, like, temporarily taking more than they need. Okay, these belts haven't even gotten constructed yet. So that's definitely wrong. So Spidertron, go up there and do that. And of course, because it's a deconstruction, it's not gonna, you can't possibly accelerate it with the Spidertron, so that's just gonna be messed up. Okay, now these buffers, we can limit them to one stack just in case that becomes a thing, because theoretically the grenades might backlog, and we don't want them constantly draining stuff to create like tens of thousands of grenades. We just need these buffers to stack the items, not do anything more than that. Okay, so the iron supply. The iron supply is not going fast enough. So let's see here. How does this work? So we take the output from you and feeds that up to there. And then any excess goes into there. Oh, maybe we go input priority right there. So if that's input priority right, then theoretically the excess from this should be the stuff coming down here. And then if we do the same thing there, then... I mean, now this just isn't running at all. Which... doesn't... Okay, wait, no, I figured it out. This actually does need to progress forwards into another splitter past that point. Otherwise, we have to try to shove everything into this belt. Alright, yeah, so now that's sorted out. And we should be fine from here. So these can run now. And they are still occasionally not getting enough of everything. Is that relating to an issue down on this side? So this machine is output full a lot of the time. But as long as this belt is capped, then that's okay. So yeah, it should theoretically be fine. And we just need all of these to get enough magazines. I wonder if this is actually just barely not fast enough. I guess we should pump up some legendary stack inserters just to make sure. So that should make this be able to drain quicker. So if that's the issue, then it'll get solved once those go in. So there we go. Now these aren't flickering anymore. So they are just going at full speed. Which should mean that these are going at full speed, and that seems to be the case, except for maybe this last one, which shouldn't be, but I don't know. It's hard to say for certain why that is. They're not having output flow problems, they're just running. These are... okay, they are back to item ingredient shortages on here, which does make sense, right? You should be getting the occasional item ingredient shortage, because this is trying to take 246 instead of 240. So that should flicker item ingredient short every so often, even if it were all running perfectly. But that shouldn't have an impact up to here. And yeah, so now piercing mags and grenades are both capped out. And the grenades even have full stacks in those crates. So now all of this is sitting and waiting on the stone supply again. So we need to upgrade the stone supply. So currently we get like these brief waves where a whole bunch of stone shows up and then the train leaves and it doesn't come back. Okay, it looks like we might actually have a traffic jam of some sort, because that train looks like it was just sitting in place. So is it just that it's slow in here? It might just be that this is a slow region of track, which is obviously like a serious issue for us because we need it to be a fast region of track in order to work properly. We need to be getting that stone all the way down here as soon as possible. Now I do see a trick. We can actually just connect this up over to here and bypass a lot of this area, and that will just be like generically useful for the train infrastructure anyways. So we start by trying to get some drone ports up in this area so that we can build in it, because we do have a bit of a dead zone up here. So let's go out to there as well. And we just need to close up this gap in here. And it's going to take a while to build all that, which is fine. In the meantime, this stone here will be just... It just has to go across. How many inputs? Oh, this has like 1 billion stone inputs, so it should be fine. Even with the massive demand from the military science, it should be okay. Although we might need to set it up to do two-sided loading. Yeah, let's set it up to do two-sided loading. So we grab all of this. We grab all of that except for the any of the train-based stuff. And then we flip it horizontally and pop it in there. Okay, so now this goes down that way and in. This goes down that way and in. And swerves up at the last minute to prevent collisions. Then this goes down that way and in. And this goes down that way and in. So that should give all of this stuff extra loading capability. And let's just get the last power pole in that's needed. So now this should be able to load at maximum possible speed, which should be helpful. Okay, now we go over here, and this area has been mostly covered. Let's just get preferably down this way. And then we connect up to power. And that should let us build in this area. If not, we can just bring the Spidertron over and it'll be fine. But for now, what we need to do is grab a track off of there. And I guess we're going to continue doing this. So you go in both sides like that. And so this is the correct one, right? So yeah, you can now go off that way. And we need you to be a chain signal, and we need a chain signal like there somewhere. Then we need another track down here, which can feed in to the other sides of these. So you come down this way, and it sure would be nice if we could actually build this at all. And yeah, the problem is that this particular curve is just incredibly steep, which makes it quite difficult to manage. But if we move that rail signal down to there, then that basically works. And then you need to connect up to the other side, which is just neatly across that way. And you get a chain signal there, and a rail signal there. Alright, now we just bring this all the way across over to there. And then we just bring this all the way across over to there. And I think we destroy something in the process. A power pole looks like. So let's make sure that that power pole gets rebuilt. Oh, it looks like it was not strictly necessary anyways. Alright, so now that goes all the way across and is going to get built up. Now we just need to connect this in over here somewhere. And preferably, preferably into this somehow. Like if we can go over and then down into this signal here. Although this is actually kind of a scuffed signal, so I don't know if that will work super well. Let's just have it go in just past that. It should be fine. So you connect up to that way and down to that way. And then you connect up that way and down to that way, which goes like that. Okay, now we get signals in. So you get a chain signal there. That has to become a chain signal, unfortunately. And that gets a chain signal. And then we get rail signals there, there, and then there's already a signal up there. Okay, somehow it's telling me that we have managed to run out of curved rails. So let's have... Okay, the Spidertron's not going to be able to easily get over there because of the stupid ocean. But if we just go, like, around the ocean a little bit, the Spidertron will be able to get there. And then, while you're doing that, what on earth has happened to our rail production? Is it just starved of stone or something? No, we have literally 1,000. Okay, so it's that somehow this is... Oh, I see. These somehow didn't get connected up properly. Ah, this is the power line that got cut. All right, so we put this power line in here, and it gets built, and now this is all up and running. So hopefully that will be a nice shortcut so we don't have to travel through that whole area to get the stone from there down to here. So we have that now. And now we just need to give a bunch of stone trains assigned to that stop. Why are drones with military science coming back down this way? Are you getting stranded or something? Are you... Okay, so first of all, I noticed that like all of our logistics drones are doing stuff right now. Which... Oh, because we just got the calcite delivery, so that's fine. You badly need to be a legendary drone port, though. And so do just all the drone ports in this general area until we get the calcite set up less horribly. We just need a bunch of these guys to be super quick so that we don't have that sort of issue. And then we probably just want to like have a drone port in this general area for them to charge up at so that they don't have to do this whole like go this way, give up, go over that way thing, which is not horrendously efficient. Hopefully it'll be fine anyways. Like, I don't want to have to micromanage the exact paths that the drones take to get to where they're going, and I haven't really needed to before this point, so hopefully it's fine. And now let's just add a couple more stone trains onto the list, and also make sure this... So you can handle... How much is this copper doing? Yeah, so you can handle 3, right? 1, 2, 3. You can handle 3 at a time. So let's add another couple stone trains, and hopefully that will at least get us close to what we need to do. So that gets built up and is going to be assigned to stone and automatic mode. And we just do that a couple more times. Train, a couple of cars, and stone, and automatic mode. And we'll add one more, although I don't know if it'll be able to be used. But just in case, stone, automatic mode. Yeah, so you are currently unable to go where you need to go. And we also need to make sure that this stone source is actually set up, so you can have 2 trains waiting for you. Can we get that up to 3? So if we pile that up to 3, then hopefully that will be enough. Okay, so now you are stuck because you can't get down to here. You have just left. So we have 3 trains on the way here. So hopefully that's at least close to enough. Ideally it would be perfect, but if we can get almost enough stone input, then that would be great. Otherwise we'll have to start just actually using like the local patches, which would obviously be quite achievable. Alright, so that was one of the ones that we just constructed that was just stopping by to say hello. And now, oh, I just realized it did not give like any signals at all on this entire massive shortcut that I built. So let's put a couple of signals in here just every so often so that trains can go along this trip without having to wait for other trains to finish. Alright, that should be good enough. That should be plenty once all those get delivered, and even with just a couple of them, it's going to be a massive improvement. So now this is going, and we're loading up the train, and out it goes. And all the boxes fill up, and then we have another one in. Alright, so this could certainly be going a whole lot worse. This could definitely be a lot worse. It's still not ideal. It's still not ideal, but it's pretty decent. Like, we have a couple trains backlogged, so those 2 trains back to back, that is, I believe, fast enough to keep it going 100% of the time if it was constantly that frequent, which obviously it's not. But still, this is a pretty decent supply of stone. Just get like, hopefully, another 1 or 2 trains on this list, and then it'll be fine. Now, really what we need to do is we need to upgrade to the experimental mode so we can get legendary train cars, so that these can carry a whole lot more items per trip, which would just instantly solve like all of our problems. But we might do that at some point. Actually, I probably will do that. It should be easy. So once we have legendary train cars, then I mean, first of all, the trips will be faster because the trains can physically move faster with legendary locomotives. But even more importantly, we'll be able to carry a whole lot more items per train, which will be incredibly useful. Okay, so this is now largely all set up. It's kind of funny the way it works with these belts having a much further trip than these ones. It kind of stretches the pulses out, so we're like at half capacity for twice as long, which is certainly interesting. It doesn't really make a difference, but it is certainly interesting. Alright, so we are definitely doing a good job of science production now. So if we go up to our science labs, I assume that the issue has been pushed over. Now it is space science. So yeah, we have plenty of black science on the way. Are you winning at space age? Yeah, so currently what we are doing is we are setting up production to be able to get all the types of science very quickly. And so we've just done black science. We also have yellow science and red science done at 240 a second, although we don't have the labs to do all that, but we don't have the science packs to do it either. So we are making a lot of progress towards eventually being able to call this a successful playthrough. So it looks like our next goal is going to be space science, which I think is kind of trivial, right? Like, let's just check. It's ice, iron plate, carbon. We get 5 packs per input. Yeah, so space science should be trivial. Like, we need to set that up, and then getting it out is going to be getting it out of the cargo landing bay is going to be the hard part, especially considering all the other things we need to get out of the cargo landing bay. So it's definitely going to be... That's probably going to be the point where we dismantle the cargo landing bay, move it somewhere more strategic, and then like figure out how exactly we're getting everything out, because we've been having really awkward stuff with like the calcite as well that we have to carry out of this via drone, which is tremendously impractical. Yeah, so currently we haven't done the what's it called, the Prometheum science. We haven't done that at all yet. I'm saving that for last. And all the rest of these we theoretically have to some capacity. We just like the question is how much of it, and for a lot of them, the answer is very little. But yeah, we are working on upgrading until we can get super fast science production. So let's scroll back down to look at this setup, and we still need to figure out how to get more stone in, because this setup is nowhere near enough. But the military science, other than that, is going fine. I believe the red science has backlogged by now, as has the yellow science. And those are the 3 that we have in large quantities. So that's basically how it is. And we do have multiple trains on their way here at any given time, which is decent progress, but still going to need a lot more. But yeah, I think we are going to wrap up here for the day. So we are right about when I normally wrap the stream up, and we have just finished producing military science to a reasonable extent. We still need to do all the resource input issues, but we'll save that for later. So tomorrow we're going to be back to Dyson Sphere program, and then on Friday we'll be back here in Factorio doing white science, and then probably also some other type of science, because I don't think white science is going to be very difficult. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure to stop by next time. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, playing various factory building games. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!